It's the Phoenix, Arizona weather discussion. This is for Wednesday, the 3rd of September. I'm Michael Groff. Fairly quiet weather across the area today and tonight. We still expect to see some widely scattered showers and thunderstorms around, but less numerous than what we've seen over the last couple of days. Our attention turns toward tomorrow and Friday, where all of the ingredients are coming together for a rather active weather pattern here. We've got deep tropical moisture surging in from the south, some of that associated with what is now Hurricane Lorena. We've got a trough to the west and lots of unstable air. And that'll set the stage for showers, thunderstorms, some strong thunderstorms possible, and locally heavy rain that could lead to flood or flash flooding. Now, there's still a ton of question marks as to how things will play out over the next 36 to 48 hours, but we're going to try and dive on in and figure that out. What does appear to be somewhat more clear is that temperatures will take a major trend down. We were near 110 degrees in some lower desert locations yesterday. We may not make it out of the low to mid 90s by the time we get to Friday and Saturday. Then another big change in the weather pattern takes place later in the weekend, and next week we'll talk about that and so much more to get into as we dive on in and discuss. Hey everyone, it's Michael Groff here to talk to you about your roof. With all the extreme weather we have in Arizona, you need a name you can trust, and that's why you should call Blackstone Roofing Group for all of your roofing needs. Call for your free inspection today. Big or small, they do it all. Tile, shingle, or flat roofing, they can help. Offering free inspections and more. Roofing made easy. Call 602-536-9363 or visit blackstoneroofing.com to schedule your free inspection today. And if you tell them Michael Groff sent you, they'll take $500 off the price of your roof replacement. Again, that's 602-536-9363 or blackstoneroofing.com. All right, let's get into it. The almanac from yesterday, 109 degrees was the afternoon high. But hey, at least it wasn't 110. 86 was the low, but that occurred at 11:59 p.m. That rain cooled air from all of those showers and thunderstorms that stayed to the south and west of us all afternoon and all evening yesterday. 104 and 82 are the averages for this time of year. No rain officially in the bucket yesterday at Sky Harbor. We're approaching 3 inches behind on rainfall. I really hope we can cut into that deficit later this week. Taking a look outside right now at 10:45 a.m. Some high clouds out there presently. 93 degrees at Sky Harbor. Dew point's up at 63, so it's a bit sticky out there. Relative humidity 36%. The air is calm. The barometer is steady. Satellite picture out here across the southwest. We put this in motion, and you can kind of see what's been going on over the last 16 hours or so. High pressure still sits to the north of us. It's starting to weaken, though. Southeasterly flow continues, and that monsoon moisture continues to filter on in. We do have a trough to the west, and there's a little short wave, a little disturbance that's sitting to the southwest of Las Vegas as well. So a bunch of ingredients are out there, and what we have over the state this morning is an area of dry air over much of central and eastern Arizona, and that will help to preclude shower and thunderstorm development this afternoon. Although it's not to say we couldn't see a few storms around, just not as many as what we've seen. The other thing you'll note down there, coming into your screen on the bottom there, is what is now Hurricane Lorena. And Lorena, Category 1 hurricane, continuing to move toward southern Baja and kind of get a parallel the Mexican coast briefly before making more of a northerly turn and ultimately a northeasterly track. And we'll show you how that's going to play out potentially here in just a moment. The watch warning map, it's still hot over the Pacific Northwest. We've got those heat advisories, the extreme heat warnings, temperatures way up in the 90s to near 100 degrees. This area of high pressure, it still extends up there, and we'll see some relief from that heat eventually. It's going to take some time, though. An air quality alert remains in effect for us here in Maricopa County. That's issued by the Arizona Department of Environmental Quality. So those of you that suffer from respiratory issues, asthma, emphysema, all of that, might want to limit your outdoor activity until later on this evening. Convective outlook for today. How about that standard slight risk of severe storms over portions of Kansas and Missouri, the marginal risk extending around that. In Arizona, most of the state in the green, so thunder is possible. We don't anticipate nearly the coverage that we've seen, but just about anybody, I suppose, could see at least a couple of brief storms popping up here and there. Kind of no telling where they're going to form today, but the favored upslope areas, the higher terrain, will be the most likely place that you'll find any storm coverage today. Even at that, though, fairly widely scattered. The tropics and the Atlantic Basin, relatively quiet. Now, we do have this wave out there in the eastern Atlantic approaching the central Atlantic now. And the National Hurricane Center giving this a 70% probability of developing over the next 7 days into a tropical depression or storm. And we'll watch how that progresses. Still way, way, way too far away to worry about this in terms of any threat to the United States. But obviously, those in the Lesser Antilles, the Leeward Islands, Puerto Rico might want to keep an eye on how this is progressing, although there certainly is some model idea here that this will turn more toward the north and out to sea, but we will just have to see. In the East Pacific, we've got 2 hurricanes on the board right now. We've got Lorena and Kiko. Let's start with Kiko. This is way out there in the middle of nowhere, and it's going to stay in the middle of nowhere for a while. It's a hurricane. It's going to start to make more of a northwesterly turn eventually, and this may bypass the Hawaiian Islands more to the north, and this is going to probably weaken as it approaches the Hawaiian Islands, so we're not going to worry about this too much. But we've got a long time to watch that before it's any threat to Hawaii. All right, here's Lorena. All right. It's a Category 1 hurricane, top winds at 75 miles an hour. It's going to move over the Baja Peninsula at some point. The Hurricane Center believes that'll occur sometime during the day on Friday and move into the Gulf of California there. And it's going to be rapidly weakening as it does. And it'll take a position southeast of Arizona sometime on Saturday and into Sunday. And this is just going to kind of fizzle out as it does. Now, we're not really concerned about exactly where this goes. What we're more interested in is how does this system's moisture get entrenched into the flow here over the southwest? How much of that moisture is drawn north? And how does it interact with all of the various features that we have, this little shortwave energy that we have, the broader trough to the west? How is that all going to play out? Again, it's very complex. We're going to try and figure it out in modeling here in a second. Looking at the tropical model set on Lorena, where it's going. And again, most of the models agree this turns to the northeast and heads into mainland Mexico and stays to the southeast of Arizona. Maybe tracking whatever's left of this into New Mexico and West Texas. Some of them do bring it more to the northwest and just out to sea, but whatever. Kind of interesting here. This is the GFS ensemble. There are some members that bring the center of this circulation, whatever's left of it, into central Arizona, but we're going to go ahead and discount those solutions. I just don't see that happening. If it did, obviously, we would have some substantial rainfall here, but I do not foresee that occurring. All right, speaking of rainfall, this is the precipitation outlook valid through Wednesday morning of next week. Rain amounts in Phoenix anywhere from about 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch, maybe approaching 1 inch. We could see some very heavy rain along the international border and into northern Mexico. Rain amounts could exceed 3 inches down there. And some isolated spots here across Arizona could be up over 2 inches. Now, of course, your amount will vary. And with all this tropical moisture getting infused into the region, any one storm could be an absolute gully washer. You know, it could put down a deluge. You could see 2 inches in a very short amount of time. What you're looking at on this graphic really represents an average of what you'll see across the area. All right, so what's going on with this weather pattern? Let's try to figure it out to the best of our abilities. We've got lots of questions. We'll try to find those answers as we get to the models right now. Here we go. This is the GFS. It's the 12Z run, valid 5 o'clock this afternoon. The upper look at 500 millibars, about 18,000 feet off the ground. That, my friends, is a very impressive upper low that's over the western Great Lakes. My goodness, that's a very cold upper trough that's bringing down lots and lots of cool fall air to a good portion of the Midwest, the northern plains, the Northeast, ultimately, and going to push a front further to the south. Just some beautiful weather there. But for us, high pressure is nosed all the way up into Western Canada and into the Northeast Pacific. And that's provided us with that easterly, southeasterly flow, and that's what's been bringing those storms into the lower deserts the last couple of days. And of course, you see to the south of us, there's Lorena. We have a little weak disturbance to the south and west of us. We have a broader trough that's off the west coast. What it all means for us down at the surface for the rest of the day today. Partly cloudy sky, widely scattered showers and thunderstorms will develop across eastern Arizona, maybe slightly more numerous for the northern part of the state today. And high temperatures will top out around 100 to 105 degrees here in the lower deserts. And yeah, it's going to be muggy. And there you can see some of that moisture from Lorena well to the south of us. All right, looking at our high resolution guidance. All right, this is the HRRR, the high resolution rapid refresh model. This is at 4 o'clock this afternoon. This is the simulated radar product. And again, the radar may not look exactly like this. You can see the most numerous concentration of showers and storms across northern Arizona from Mojave County all the way eastward across the rim into Navajo and Apache counties, northern Gila County. There's a couple little pop-up storms that could occur here over southern Arizona, though, maybe approaching the valley later this afternoon and this evening. But they'll be widely scattered. If you see them, there'll be, maybe one neighborhood gets some rain and most of you don't. That's going to be the nature of storms this afternoon, much less concentrated than we've seen in recent days. Still, we'll call for a 10 to 20% chance of storms today and tonight. Let's keep it going. This is midnight tonight off the HRRR. And still, it insists that we'll see a few little pop-up showers, perhaps, as the access of somewhat deeper moisture may start to flow in here overnight tonight. And so along that kind of axis of deeper moisture, we could see a few showers and storms popping up kind of in the middle of the night. And that's certainly possible. This kind of thing happens. And so that's why we'll keep the chance of storms going throughout the night. They'll be, again, very widely scattered in nature, but obviously possible. Lows tonight will generally be in the upper 70s to mid 80s, and it'll be muggy. Now, here's tomorrow. Now, the GFS, I will tell you, is moving Lorena much faster than the official track from the National Hurricane Center. In fact, it pretty much has Lorena starting to come ashore later tomorrow and tomorrow night into the Baja. And look at that moisture. It's coming up toward northern Mexico and infringing upon southeast Arizona. And some of that moisture throughout, especially the mid-levels, is already being brought up into Arizona tomorrow. And we have a few other factors that are coming together. This is going to be an interesting day. We already have monsoonal moisture in place. We have this deeper moisture from Lorena entering the area. We've got a weakening little short wave near Las Vegas and kind of a stretched area that is a sort of a broad trough axis that'll extend from kind of the Great Basin south and eastward, and then cutting into Arizona and sort of forming this this zipper area across central Arizona throughout the afternoon tomorrow. And so we're going to see these storms coming off the rim, coming from the east-northeast around the area of high pressure to the north. We'll see the deeper moisture from Lorena coming in from the south. And so we'll have those storms developing over southern and southeast Arizona coming at us from the south and the east. And so as a result, south central Arizona could be in the bullseye for a convergence zone here between those two areas. And we'll see some very good outflow boundaries potentially coming in and maybe a broader complex of showers and storms developing tomorrow. There's a number of solutions on the table, right? So we could see more of an organized batch of storms there. We could see kind of converging lines of storms. Maybe it's just more of a plume of moisture. And, it's going to depend on how it plays out. One limiting factor might be thermodynamic support. We may have a lot of clouds around throughout the day tomorrow, and that may limit the amount of solar energy that gets down to the surface to help to further destabilize the atmosphere. Still, with the broader troughing in place and some of that forced descent that we'll see, some positive vorticity across central Arizona, I still expect to see at least scattered, if not numerous, showers and thunderstorms developing tomorrow and tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow night. Let's try to figure it out. All right, this is our HRRR. Again, this is tomorrow at 7 p.m. And it's just got a big batch of showers and storms coming in from southeast Arizona rolling right on up into the south central deserts. And some of those could be strong if this is to be believed. So let's run through a forecast sounding. We're already here, in for a penny, in for a pound, right? So let's geek it up full on here. And some people like when we show this, and I've had people in the comments ask if I could break this down a little bit more. So we're going to take a little extra time here and do a deep dive into one of these forecast soundings. This is off of the 3-kilometer NAM. All right, this is tomorrow afternoon at 5 o'clock. And let's look at some of the factors, according to this, that could favor us getting some stronger storms or some heavier rain potentially. All right, first of all, we've got mixing ratios and precipitable water values that are very favorable. I mean, mixing ratios in the 10 to 12 grams per kilogram range. Precipitable water, depending on the sounding, is anywhere from 1.4 to 1.7 inches. That is certainly favorable. We've got the moisture in place through the atmosphere. All right. Then you look at D-Cape values. And on this, they're approaching 1,500 joules per kilogram. So when you see that, that means strong winds, downdraft, down shear cape. We have, some stronger outflow boundaries would be a potential risk from thunderstorms tomorrow afternoon, especially because we expect at least a little bit of drier air right near the surface and some warmer air right near the surface. So as that cooler air, the rain, cooled air comes down, and we could really get those stronger outflows that come from distant thunderstorms. So we'll have to watch for that. All right, look at the Cape values. Again, anywhere from, this is almost up to 2,000 joules per kilogram, 1,500 to 2,000 joules per kilogram. That might be slightly overdone, but nevertheless, that is certainly sufficient for thunderstorms to develop. There's almost no convective inhibition, and that's been a big problem for storms to develop in some of our more active looking days. The one thing that's always kind of prevented the widespread storms, we've had a lot of days with convective inhibition. We've needed to overcome some of that warm air inversion, the capping inversions in the atmosphere, and that does not appear to be the case tomorrow. All right, then you've got a saturated kind of low to mid level of the atmosphere, especially from about the 5 to 10, 11,000 foot level. The atmosphere is pretty saturated, and with lift indices around -6, and you've got the cape, the surface-based cape being as high as it is, and air parcels freely rising. That's going to take that saturated air and force it up into that drier air that you see between about 500 to 300 millibars. And when you force moist air, that very saturated air, into dry air, you force it up, it cools very rapidly and forms the deeper convection. And that's what we expect to see tomorrow. Again, taking this at face value. Now, is this exactly how it's going to be tomorrow afternoon? Of course not. We're going to have to see how the mesoscale features play out once we get to tomorrow. But this is just an idea that's on the table at this time. And then thunderstorms tomorrow will generally be fairly slow moving. Now, I don't know if shear values are going to be as low as what's advertised on this sounding, right? But still, we're not seeing the winds through the atmosphere just screaming. So that's one thing that might limit the organized severe weather potential. We could see some isolated severe wind gusts and all of that. But what's more likely to occur is that we'll see slow-moving storms. And what do we have when we have a very moist atmosphere and slow-moving storms? We get heavy rain that could lead to at least local flooding. So that is a risk for tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow night, into Friday. Now, high temperatures tomorrow are going to be lower as well. We'll generally be in the mid to upper 90s thanks to increased clouds, humidity, and those chances of storms. All right, let's go to Friday. Now, again, the GFS is moving Lorena, I think, just too fast. It's got whatever's left of Lorena. It weakens it very rapidly and starts to eject it much faster to the north, taking the center of it near Nogales late tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening. Friday evening. And so, as a result, we'll see scattered to numerous showers and thunderstorms throughout the day on Friday. One thing that I'm going to be interested to see is how well defined that circulation remains to be. I think with the troughing to the west, I think it'll shear it out pretty quickly. And so we'll just see a big slug of moisture. Obviously, the heaviest precipitation will be concentrated over southeast Arizona, northern Mexico, and New Mexico. But with the incoming trough from the west and some stronger jet dynamics expected in here on Friday, we could still see some scattered to numerous showers and thunderstorms on Friday. But it's a toss-up. I mean, we're going to have to see how Thursday plays out before we can really delve into Friday. High temperatures will be down, though. I still expect to see a lot of clouds and at least some off and on showers. So highs only in the low to mid 90s for Friday. All right, let's go to the weekend. This is Saturday. Drier air is now coming in because this big trough to the west is finally going to start to nudge everything east. Our high pressure area that's been sitting to the north of us is suppressed. It's out of here. Heights are down. Temperatures are down. Highs on Saturday, again, low to mid 90s. We're way below seasonal averages. Drier air is coming in, but we still can't rule out some isolated to widely scattered showers and thunderstorms during the day on Saturday. Here we go to Sunday. We're dry, and temperatures will slowly recover back toward the mid-90s to about 100, but that's still a bit below seasonal averages. Now, with the drier air coming in, and now we're in the month of September, the nights are getting longer, so we'll see some cooler temperatures in the overnight hours. Maybe not so much Saturday night, Sunday morning, but how about Sunday night, Monday morning? We could see lows in the 70s pretty much valley-wide, and I'm going to tell you, we might see a couple of the open desert areas, especially over the western deserts and some of those higher areas, getting down into the upper 60s for overnight lows on Monday morning. For the day on Monday, we're dry. High temperatures recover a little bit back toward the 100 to 105 degree range. Same thing Tuesday, 100 to 105 dry conditions. No chance of any precipitation statewide as all that moisture is completely scoured out due to deeper westerly flow that's in place. The ridge is to the south, troughing is to the north and west of us. We'll see some precipitation across the Great Basin and over the Pacific Northwest, but nothing around here. A week from today, this is Wednesday, the 10th of September. Now, this is interesting. This trough is really intensifying to the west of us. This is something we'd probably see more likely in early October as opposed to early to mid-September. But there it is, a positively tilted trough and a ridge building to the east of us. And those negative height anomalies might actually start to draw some moisture back into the region for scattered showers and thunderstorms perhaps on Wednesday over the eastern third to eastern half of Arizona. Could we see any precipitation in that scenario? I don't know. This is just too far out, and I am just not ready to buy into this solution yet. I'm going to need to see some more run-to-run consistency before we go there. But the idea of broad troughing to the west of us sure seems like a possibility given what we've seen on the models in recent days. This is Thursday, the 11th of September, again, troughing to the west and a southerly flow. So some moisture and showers and storms would be possible in that scenario. We'll see how that plays out. Temperatures would be maybe coming down a little bit. Yeah, we have southerly flow and some warmer air advection, but we also have increased humidity in this setup. The moisture gradient would be extremely tight, though, and it'd probably be right here over central Arizona. We sometimes see this kind of a setup in September, and that's possible. But, again, we'll keep an eye on it. This is the end of the forecast period, Friday, the 12th. And we've got a kind of a neutral tilted upper low and trough here just to the west of us. And so a continuation of scattered showers and storms over eastern Arizona, but we'd start to dry out. But boy, look at that. Again, you see that kind of a setup, and that's not a monsoon setup. Okay, none of what I'm showing you right here for next week is monsoonal at all. This is more of a mid-latitude cyclone pulling moisture into the region for showers and storms. And that's not monsoonal, and that's probably where we start to talk about this being the end of what has been, a very lackluster monsoon season. All right, looking at rainfall for Phoenix out through the 17th of September off the GFS ensemble. The mean is almost an inch. You got some individual members up over 2 and 3 inches here. And again, those members are probably favoring the idea of Lorena coming more towards central Arizona, and I just don't see that happening. All right, European ensemble. And again, the mean is about a half an inch. just under a half an inch. The European AI ensemble is up there closer to 3/4 of an inch. Individual members, again, 2 and 3 inches here. The big model spread, but the more likely solution is, again, some moisture comes in here, and we'll probably see if we get rain amounts around here in the 1/3 to 1/2 inch range. I would say that's pretty fortunate. With isolated spots, obviously able to pick up 1 to 2 inches plus, because that's what happens with tropical moisture. You get very, very big spreads and very uneven distribution of rainfall. All right, looking at temperatures off the national blend of models, the trend obviously is down. We're going to probably stay in the 90s Friday, Saturday. I mean, maybe even on Thursday, maybe tomorrow we don't make it to 100 degrees. We will see. And then temperatures will recover. We'll be at maybe even a degree or 3 above seasonal averages next week, depending on how things play out. But if that GFS solution of a deeper trough comes in here, my goodness, that would be very interesting. You never know. That's why we study weather. All right, looking at the CPC outlook, Climate Prediction Center outlook. This is for the 8 to 14 day period. This covers September the 10th through the 16th. Temperatures, if this is right, would be above average for Arizona, at least for most of us. Near average for the western part of the state. Precipitation below average. And that would jive pretty well with broader southwesterly flow and pushing the monsoon out of here. We don't expect to see much precipitation in that kind of a setup. And so that's where the CPC is at right now. And that's going to do it for the Phoenix, Arizona weather discussion for today. My next video is due back here tomorrow morning. Should you happen to enjoy these videos, be sure to subscribe, like, share, click that notification bell. Leave those comments, questions, and suggestions. If you're really enjoying what we do here, you want to support the channel, best way to do that, click that thanks icon below the video here on YouTube. Make a monetary contribution to us that way, or via PayPal. GroffShow@gmail.com is that PayPal address. It's GROFF show@gmail.com for PayPal, or our Venmo, and all of that is linked up down in the description. The executive producer of the Phoenix, Arizona weather discussion is my OAO, the sweetest of all time, the Asian sensation and proprietor of sweetchildaz.com.org, and the Facebook page of the same name, Sweet Child Arizona. Talking about my Michelle. Check her out. Blogs, videos, everything Michelle related, Adriana related, and now Kylie related. It's all linked up down in the description. Check that out. Our streaming station available 24/7, 365 called KMGX. Listen to that. That's linked up below. And Dan over at the Courtroom Files YouTube channel, The Courtroom Files on YouTube, or courtroomfiles.com for all your Courtroom Files merch. Check him out. Big friend of the channel, friend of mine, friend to all. And so, yeah, check out what he's doing, because that guy is he's just a machine putting out content round the clock. All right, that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching and all of your continued support. Amazing. Really, really appreciate it. Please be safe. Stay cool. Stay hydrated out there. And you guys have yourselves a terrific rest of your Wednesday.